Hey guys, Mike here. So today, I'm here to talk to you about Joker. In this review, I'll be going over a brief summary of the plot, my quick thoughts about the film, and whether or not you guys should go and see it. So I'm going to try and keep this review spoiler-free. However, if you want to know anything about the film, and you want to go completely blind, then let's just come back to this video once you've seen the film. So with that, let's get started, shall we?
Send in the clowns.
So before I start the actual review, guys, I just wanted to say that I would have got this review out a lot sooner, but I've been really busy at work and I haven't really had the time, so I'm bringing it to you now. So for the odd one person out there who was going to watch this review, I'm sorry it's a bit late, but here it is for you now. So Joker stars Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, who would later be known as the Joker. You may remember him from Walk the Line and from Gladiator. So in Joker, Arthur Fleck just keeps getting beaten down by life. He's constantly harassed, he's constantly belittled, he has mental problems, and pretty much just life constantly keeps bringing him down. And you see, as the movie progresses, he just keeps getting worse and worse, and more horrible things keeps happening to him, until eventually he dons the makeup and becomes the Joker. And so we have Joker. So I must admit, when I first heard about this movie, I was very, very skeptical, because I didn't know whether the Joker character could carry an entire movie, or whether revealing too much about the Joker's backstory would kind of ruin a bit of the mystery about the character, because one of the best things about the Joker is there's just pretty much, no one knows anything about him. I mean, in pretty much all kind of mediums that he's in, whether it's comic books or whether it's movies or animation, just nothing is known about the Joker. And if there is something known, it's usually kind of misconstrued, or two different people have different ideas about who he is. So a whole movie delving into the backstory of the Joker, like I said, I was a bit skeptical. And then when I saw the full costume and makeup, I was again a bit worried, because while it didn't look terrible, it just didn't really look like the Joker. So when the first trailer came out, I didn't obviously watch it, but after that I pretty much kind of forgot about the movie and just kind of, waited to see what would happen with it. But then, as Joker hit the festival circuit, I saw on IMDb at a 9.6 with 10,000 people voting on it. Now, normally, if a movie does have 9.6 on it, it's usually only a couple of hundred people, or maybe only a couple of dozen people who have voted on it. But with 10,000 people voting on it, whether most of them are real or not, that's a good indication of whether the movie's good or not. And obviously, it's a good indication that the movie is good. But then I thought maybe it's just the festival goers or the critics who think that this is really good. This movie might not really connect with audiences. So again, while this was a good review, I didn't really, think too much about it. I just wanted to watch this movie and see what I thought about it. So, the night came, I watched Joker. So, what did I think about it? Well, first of all, Joaquin Phoenix is absolutely incredible in this movie. I mean, it just can't be understated. This is his movie, and he absolutely carries it. This is such a believable human story, and human isn't necessarily a word that you would associate with the Joker, though obviously he is a human being. But I think the more accurate word to describe Joker would be monstrous, really. Because the Joker has done a lot of horrible things in his 80-year comic book life. And for a movie to make that kind of character sympathetic, good job, movie. Because honestly, after seeing Jared Leto try and take on the Joker after Heath Ledger, I was a bit worried about Joaquin Phoenix. Was he just going to do a pale imitation of Heath Ledger, or was he going to just borrow things from Jared Leto? But thankfully, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is nothing like Jared Leto's Joker, which is really good, because Jared Leto's Joker was absolutely terrible, but, that's a discussion for another day. So, good thing that he's not like Jared Leto. But then, my actual biggest worry, was he going to just do a pale imitation of Heath Ledger's Joker? Even though they are obviously playing the same character, these two could not be more different. Because while Heath Ledger's Joker was more about chaos and destruction and being larger than life, Joaquin Phoenix's journey is a lot different to that, because it's more about just the human struggle and how mental illness can affect anyone, really, and how, if untreated, that people can just be, left to their own devices and just suffer because of it. And I must say, I was expecting probably just a little bit more Joker in this movie, because for the most part, it is more about Arthur Fleck than it is about the Joker. But honestly, I could have just watched the whole movie being about Arthur Fleck, and if the Joker probably never actually showed up, then this still would have been a really good movie. And I do believe this movie is only about 2 hours, 2 minutes long, but it definitely feels a lot longer than that. But I do feel this works to the movie's advantage, because nothing about this character's journey feels rushed. because I was really thinking that, like, one or two bad things was going to happen to him, and then all of a sudden he snaps, and then he's the Joker. But no, it's just constant, because one little thing happens and he changes slightly, then another thing happens and he gets a little bit more unhinged, and then after a couple of things happen that would send a normal person insane, he just keeps going on his journey, and then eventually he does end up as the Joker, and this was such an earned journey. But I had no idea the physical transformation that Joaquin Phoenix was going to go through to become Joker, because there are quite a few scenes where you do see Joaquin Phoenix's body, and the transformation he goes through is just absolutely insane. It's probably not necessarily on Christian Bale's level when he became an anorexic for a movie, but it is definitely quite disfigured and, you know, quite disgusting, you know, actually. But obviously this works for the character's favour, because it really does, you know, tell the story better about, like, the kind of trauma that he goes through. And honestly, these kind of performances just go to show how great comic book movies can be. Because I wouldn't say that this is a comic book movie in the strictest sense, because most comic book movies are about a little bit of character development and mostly, you know, big action and explosions and, you know, just being a spectacle. That's not to say you don't get small character pieces with comic book characters, but, you know, they're not quite as common as, you know, the standard comic book movie. And now the average moviegoer can see that comic book characters can be just as layered and in-depth as most Oscar-caliber characters. And speaking of which, obviously, I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is definitely going to get an Oscar nomination for this. It's just no question. If he doesn't, you know, everyone else that's going to come later on in the year must be, you know, next level acting chops, because, you know, how could you not nominate this performance? I know all year that I've been saying that Taron Egerton is probably the best performance of the year, and he's probably going to win the Oscar. And while I do still think that he should definitely get nominated for his role in Rocketman, you know, I just think it's Joaquin Phoenix's year. I mean, I know obviously we're still quite early into the Oscar season, but, you know, I think we may have to call it, you know, forget all other movies that are going to come out for the rest of the year. This is going to Joaquin Phoenix. And as well, it's good to see Robert De Niro, you know, actually caring about a movie, because for the last couple of years, though I haven't really seen him in that many things, it doesn't really, Robert De Niro has been putting all that much effort into his movies. It looks like he's kind of just showing up, collecting his paycheck, and then just going home. Even though he's only in the movie for a couple of scenes, it actually looks like he really gave a shit about this movie. And as well, Zazie Beetz is in this movie, who you may remember from Deadpool 2 as Domino. And obviously Zazie Beetz is still quite new on the scene, and she's still kind of finding a place in Hollywood. You know, this is the perfect time for her, because she's got the chance to not be so typecast in a movie. I mean, obviously, her two most notable roles so far have been from two comic book movies, but, you know, she still has a chance to kind of expand her horizons, you know, kind of do anything she wants. Because, again, she's not really all that much in the movie, like Robert De Niro's character isn't, because this movie is about Joaquin Phoenix, and, you know, I don't think there's a single scene in the movie that he's not in. And as well, other than Joaquin Phoenix's performance, this is a really well-made movie. For starters, the thing I was really happy to not see in this movie is this dumb aspect ratio bullshit, because, you know, why have a movie on such a big screen and just, you know, remove 30% of the screen? It's just ridiculous. And I know that they can get rid of it, because I was at this movie once, I can't remember what it was, but I remember the screen ended up freezing and they had to kind of reset the movie. And at the start it did have the black bars for the aspect ratio, but then when they reset the movie, it was gone, it was full screen. So I know they can remove it, it's just, they just need to get rid of it, because, you know, you don't need a big IMAX camera to get rid of it. I mean, probably you do, because that's probably what the aspect ratio is, you know, the restrictions of the camera. But honestly, more movies just need to get rid of it, because it's so distracting, and it's like, why even have a big screen if you're going to remove so much of it? But as well, other than that, the movie's edited really well, the score is incredible, and though at the start the pace does feel quite slow, but it's once you get to the end and then you review everything you've just watched, you realise that the pace is slow, because, you know, it needs to be. So honestly, if you were going into this movie expecting a lot of explosions and action, and the Joker just being a constant psychopath all the time, you know, you're gonna be a little bit disappointed, because this is, at its forefront, a character study. So this is probably the least larger-than-life Joker that we've seen on screen, but still, it's probably one of the best that we've seen since, well, Heath Ledger. And though, when I did walk out this movie, I did think that it was a little bit overhyped, because, you know, I didn't think it was necessarily as good as everyone was saying it was. But honestly, I've had some time to think about this movie, and every day that I've been thinking about it, it's just really stayed with me. And as I've been thinking about it more and more, it's just got better and better in my head. And I know I'm probably going to go see this movie again, so I'll have a chance to have a better in-depth look. But honestly, this movie is just incredible. I mean, I just really enjoyed it. So overall, guys, Joaquin Phoenix, just sensational as the Joker. The supporting cast are pretty good as well, and it's just an incredible movie. That's all I can really say about it. Though one thing I do think that's blown a bit out of proportion about this movie is all the people that saying this is super controversial, or they feel uncomfortable seeing it, or they should boycott this movie because it's so disturbing. I think they probably just need to calm down a little bit. I mean, I don't know if it's just that I have a higher sense of, you know, being able to watch things that are a little bit more disturbing or whatever, but I just didn't really think this movie was as bad as everyone's saying it was, because I've seen movies that are a lot more disturbing that definitely don't get as much attention as this movie's gonna get, so, you know, but I mean, a good Joker movie is supposed to create controversy, because if you look at Heath Ledger's Joker, you know, some people can side with what he's saying, or some people could think he's absolutely deplorable and you should never listen to him, so, you know, it creates a discussion, which is what Joker is gonna do. So honestly, don't not watch this movie just because you think it's going to be controversial. Just, you know, if you don't like the way the movie looks, then don't watch it. But, you know, just go in with an open mind. And I, you know, bet you'll enjoy this movie. But now, as for whether or not, you guys should go and see it. I think it's pretty obvious, I'm telling you, that you absolutely need to see this movie. Joaquin Phoenix is absolutely incredible. The supporting cast are also good as well. This is also a really well-made movie, and it's just something that you definitely do need to see in the cinema to really take in the full scale of this movie. Though obviously when I say scale, this movie isn't as large as, say, Endgame or something like that. But, you know, it's a larger-than-life character who's really been brought down to the basics of who he is. And if that doesn't sound like a good time at the cinema, then I don't know what is. Okay guys, that's my review of Joker. If you've seen it, what did you think about it? And which other comic book villain do you think they should make a character study of? Whoever you think, drop it in the comments below. And until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!